Hey everyone, welcome back to the Incredible India podcast series. I'm Taylor and I'm joined by Sam. And today we're launching into a deep dive that takes us off the beaten track and into one of the most culturally rich, yet often overlooked parts of India.
Odisha.
That's right. Our mission today is, well, to really explore the sources shared by the listener, focusing specifically on Odisha. It's a state that's like a living repository of India's most ancient tribal heritage. We're aiming to look beyond just, history books and look directly into the communities themselves.
And when you look at the sheer numbers, the cultural density, it's pretty astonishing. This isn't just history we're talking about. Odisha is home to over 60 distinct tribal communities. That's nearly a quarter of its entire population. So yeah, we're diving into a world still humming with ancestral music, ancient rhythms, languages that maybe predate most of modern civilization. It's quite something. And that's the key word, isn't it? Preservation. We're looking at how these groups, from the mountain guardians to the matriarchal trade rulers, how they maintain their really profound cultural identity, especially now. With modernization happening so fast, we'll pull out specific examples of their unique faith, their art, and crucially, how you as a traveler can engage with them respectfully, ethically.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The sources really emphasize that for a lot of these tribes, their identity is just inseparable from the landscape itself. So let's start with those people who see the land not just as property, but, well, as family. The guardians of the mountains.
We absolutely have to begin with the Dongria Kondh. Their name, it literally means people of the streams, which perfectly reflects their life there. In the misty Niyamgiri hills, they live in this almost mystical communion with their environment. Their core belief is simple but totally absolute. Yeah. They view the mountain, Niyamraga particularly, as their direct ancestor.
That idea that cutting down the forest is literally like wounding their own lineage, that has incredibly powerful implications today, right? Politically, environmentally. It's not just theology. It's a real stand against resource exploitation.
Absolutely. That ancestral view of the mountain, it's the very foundation of their identity. And historically, it's been the basis of their successful resistance against industrial mining in that area. Their self-sufficiency is fierce, rooted in sustainable forest gathering.
Okay, so since access to their main villages is understandably quite restricted, how can a visitor respectfully see some of their traditions and maybe support them?
Well, the sources guide visitors towards the edges, you could say. Specifically, the Chatakona Weekly Market in Rayagada. That's where you can actually see the Dongria Kondh trading things like forest produce, wild honey, mangoes, alongside their stunning handmade goods. It's just a riot of color, especially their bright shawls, intricate silver jewelry. It offers a respectful window without, intruding on their sacred spaces.
Right. Now, here's where it gets really interesting in the sources. Shifting south to the Malkangiri district, we find the Banda tribe. They're painted as fiercely independent and strongly matriarchal.
The Banda are truly unique.
Yeah.
They're considered one of India's oldest, most independent tribes, often highly insulated too. And in their society, yes, it's the women who predominantly control and rule the trade. Visually, they're just unmistakable. Banda women wear these dense layers of bright orange beads, and notably, they shave their heads. It's seen as a profound mark of freedom, of distinction.
The sources mention they fall under a particularly protected status. Can you elaborate on what that means for the Banda community and for potential visitors?
Yes, they're designated as particularly vulnerable tribal groups, PVTGs. That means that they're highly protective of their cultural space, and they require protected status from the government. For a visitor, this translates to maintaining extreme respectful distance from their actual villages. It's critical. However, you can meet them at the very vibrant Unforgettable Thursday market. This market is described as a real sensory world. The Banda interact with several other communities there, making it maybe the most concentrated point for cultural observation.
So it sounds like these weekly marketplaces are almost like essential bridges between these quite self-contained worlds and the outside.
They really are, yeah. It's where the barter economy still thrives sometimes, reflecting their immediate needs, their crafts. Now, if we move up north in Odisha to Mayurbhanj and Keonjhar, we encounter groups that are perhaps more integrated into the broader agricultural story, the Santal and Huang tribes.
Tell us a bit more about these northern communities. What really defines them beyond farming?
Well, they are renowned agriculturalists, absolutely. But they're also dedicated storytellers, performers. Their cultural life often centers around the cycles of the seasons. For the Santhal, for instance, the Karam festival, which they celebrate after the harvest, is critical. It fills the forests near Similipal National Park with this intense drumming, complex, circular dances. It's quite something.
So tourism there often blends community visits with nature exploration, like safaris, maybe. That seems like a natural fit for groups whose whole existence is rooted in the forest, the soil.
Precisely, yet allows travelers to support community tourism initiatives while also experiencing the stunning biodiversity of the region. So we've touched on the guardians, the agriculturalists. Now let's maybe look at how their deep spirituality translates into tangible culture, their art, their movement.
Okay, let's shift to the art then. The description of the Saora people was particularly captivating. They're called the painters of the invisible.
Yes, the Saora or Sora. They live further east. And their art form, these idol murals, it's truly profound. These aren't just, decorative paintings. They're made using simple rice paste right onto the mud walls of their homes. And they function as both art and scripture simultaneously.
So less like paintings and more like visual diaries of their whole cosmology.
Exactly. They're visual maps. They track essential spiritual and practical milestones, births, successful harvests, communications with ancestors, spirits. They provide this continuous record of the community's spiritual life. And what's really excellent is that some Saora villages have actually embraced community tourism. They offer workshops, homestays. It allows guests to learn the tradition of mural making directly from community artists. A really immersive exchange.
That kind of deep, hands-on cultural exchange must be invaluable. Okay, moving from static art to more dynamic movement, let's talk about the Gadaba people near Koraput and Nandapur. They're known for their dance, right?
hmm The Gadaba are synonymous with the Demsa dance. This is a really powerful communal expression of harmony with nature. It's performed in these massive circles, often under the moonlight. And the movement itself, where men and women join together, is described quite poetically in the source as being like rippling grain in the wind.
Wow, that sounds absolutely captivating. A true expression of collective effort and joy. I know community stays are supported there too, through programs like Verse, making sure local communities benefit directly.
That's right. And supporting these specific guided stays is really the cornerstone of ethical travel in this region. And if we connect this to the broader picture of their crafts, we see that philosophical depth extending beyond just the large murals or dances, right into the durable arts like metalwork.
Ah, yes. Tell us more about the Dokra metalwork. This seems like a craft that has survived for, well, millennia.
It really has. Dokra is practiced by both the Konda and Santal tribes, and it's defined by this ancient technique of lost wax casting. I mean, think about the precision needed. Artisans create an intricate wax model, coat it in clay, melt the wax out, and then pour molten brass into the void left behind. The clay is then broken away to reveal this one-of-a-kind solid brass figurine.
So these aren't mass-produced objects at all. Each piece is an individual sculpture, really, depicting deities, animals, dancers, objects, just imbued with deep cultural meaning.
Precisely. That intensive process ensures the high value and respect for the craft. And for travelers who want to support these tangible traditions directly, the sources mention that these authentic crafts, from the Dokra figures to evolved textile arts, are best purchased at the tribal haats, the weekly marketplaces,
Right.
in key centers like Koraput, Nabarangpur, and Raigada.
Right, those market spots again. Clearly crucial cultural arteries. Okay, now let's pick it to timing. What does this all mean for someone wanting to maybe plan a journey? When's the best time to experience this cultural vitality?
Well, timing your visit around a major festival definitely offers unparalleled immersion. Two key events really stand out in the sources. First, Chaitra Parab. It's typically held in March or April. This is a massive festival of renewal across many southern villages. It involves complex drums, huge communal feasts, ritual dances, all aimed at thanking the earth for its bounty.
And the other festival, Dandanada, that sounds incredibly intense and ancient.
It is. Dandanada is an ancient dance drama described as merging intense devotion with real physical discipline. It actually predates many Hindu traditions and is still performed with full vigor today. Often involves incredible feats of endurance, dramatic spectacle. It would be a spectacular experience if you can catch it.
Okay, now the sources consistently stress that travel here absolutely must be ethical. How are travelers supposed to navigate this sensitive landscape without being, well, intrusive?
The key seems to be small-scale, deeply respectful, guided travel. Tours need to be sensitive, small, and crucially community-led, often facilitated by local NGOs who really understand the delicate balance required. The sources suggest focusing on two main geographical circuits for efficient, responsible travel.
Right. What are those main circuits?
Okay, first there's the southern route, the Rayagada-Koraput-Malkangiri circuit. This allows access to the markets and surrounding areas relevant to the Dongria Kondh, Bonda, Saora, and Gadaba tribes. Second, the the Northern Circuit, Mayurbhanj Kianjar. This focuses more on the Santal and Huang villages, often combined with excursions into similable forest.
That provides a pretty clear logistical framework. But before starting any journey into these tribal regions, what's the essential first step a visitor should take for preparation?
Start at the Odisha State Tribal Museum in Bhubaneswar. This isn't really optional preparation. It's essential. It serves as an excellent, necessary primer, gives you crucial background on the history, rituals, art of the tribes before you encounter them in person. It just helps prevent arriving ignorant of their cultural significance.
And the rules for personal engagement sound highly specific too, particularly around cameras and contributions.
Absolutely critical. Photography requires explicit individual consent every single time, not just assumed permission. Furthermore, gifts or charity are actively discouraged. Handouts just foster dependency. They undermine the local economy. The meaningful way to contribute is through dignified commerce, buying their handcrafted goods, attending their organized cultural dances, supporting the community homestays, the meals. That ensures the economic benefit is sustainable and respects their independence.
Okay, so if we connect this back to the global community for a moment, why should the world really care about preserving these specific, maybe remote communities in Odisha?
Because these communities, they function as a kind of crucial humanities mirror. Their continued existence reminds us, especially now, in an age defined by consumption and climate anxiety, how to live with nature, not just against it. Their wealth, as the sources clearly articulate, it isn't measured in GDP or gold, right? It's measured in belonging, shared tradition, and this deep, sustainable knowledge of their environment. They're living examples of sustainability we can still learn so much from.
That's a really powerful thought to end on. Consider the Saora artists we discussed. Their sacred art has evolved from rice paste on mud walls to being celebrated in global galleries, workshops even, bringing them attention and income. How does adapting traditional practices like that, like transforming their art into a marketable skill for respectful tourism, how does that help these ancient cultures survive and, well, thrive in the modern globalized age? Something to think about.
And if you decide to travel to Odisha, we have a recommendation. Five Senses Tours organizes tours across India, which are immersive cultural experiences. You can email contact@fivesensestours.com. Note 5 is written as a numeral and contact@fivesensestours.com. Or WhatsApp to +919 845 677 446.